In a digital economy defined by constant scrutiny, an organization's credibility often rests on the integrity of its records and the trust it earns in handling personal data. Controls A.5.33 and A.5.34 together create the backbone of that credibility. One, ensuring that records remain reliable and defensible. The other, ensuring that individuals' privacy is respected and legally protected. A.5.33 establishes the framework for safeguarding records as enduring proof of compliance, decisions, and operational discipline, while A.5.34 extends protection to personally identifiable information, embedding ethical and regulatory principles into everyday processes. Both controls emphasize that information stewardship is inseparable from trust. Without reliable records and responsible privacy practices, even the most advanced security program loses its legitimacy. A.5.33 focuses on protecting records throughout their entire lifecycle, from creation and retention to secure disposal. These records include not just financial documents or HR files, but also operational logs, audit trails, and evidence from incident investigations. Each of these serves a distinct purpose. Some demonstrate regulatory compliance, others support forensic analysis or future decision-making. The goal is to ensure that records remain authentic, complete, and accessible whenever required, without compromising confidentiality or integrity. Protection extends equally to physical and digital forms, recognizing that many organizations operate in hybrid environments where both coexist. The underlying principle is permanence with control. Information must endure as long as it's needed, but only in safe and verifiable ways. Establishing appropriate retention schedules forms the foundation of record governance. Retention periods should be dictated by the intersection of legal mandates, regulatory expectations, contractual clauses, and operational needs. For example, financial institutions may be legally required to preserve transaction logs for several years, while privacy laws may mandate the prompt deletion of personal data once its purpose has expired. Global organizations must harmonize these timelines across jurisdictions, balancing sometimes contradictory requirements. Periodic reviews ensure that schedules remain relevant as laws evolve. Clear retention mapping gives confidence that no record outlives its purpose or disappears before it's needed. Safeguarding the integrity of stored records requires both physical and digital controls. Physical archives demand secure storage environments with protection from fire, water damage, and unauthorized access. Digital records rely on redundant storage, integrity verification through cryptographic hashes, and backup systems distributed across trusted locations. Migration processes, such as moving from aging storage media to new platforms, must include validation steps to prevent corruption or data loss. Automated monitoring tools can detect unauthorized alteration, corruption, or unexpected deletions, enabling swift remediation. These safeguards ensure that when auditors or courts examine records, their authenticity is beyond doubt. Access to records must follow the principle of least privilege. Only those with legitimate business need should be able to retrieve, modify, or dispose of stored data. Every access action should be logged with timestamps and user identification for full traceability. Sensitive records, such as personnel files, legal documents, or classified operational data, require encryption both in storage and transmission. When aggregate analysis suffices, anonymization should replace individual-level data. These measures balance transparency with privacy, ensuring information is available when needed but shielded from those without authorization. Eventually, every record reaches the end of its life cycle, and disposal becomes as critical as protection. Secure shredding of paper files, certified digital deletion, and cryptographic erasure of electronic media prevent residual data from being recovered. Each destruction event should be documented with proof of completion, such as certificates from service providers or internal validation reports. Disposal chains must maintain custody records so that responsibility for destruction is always accountable and verifiable. Privacy-safe handling, ensuring that no personal or sensitive information lingers, aligns this process with the broader goals of data protection. A controlled end-of-life process closes the life cycle responsibly, preventing both accidental exposure and regulatory violations. The risks of neglecting record protection are profound. Missing or incomplete documentation can cripple legal defense or audit verification, forcing reliance on memory rather than evidence. Unauthorized disclosure of internal records can damage reputation, eroding trust among customers, employees, and regulators. Losing operational records prematurely disrupts continuity, leaving teams without guidance or proof of previous actions. Regulatory agencies can impose steep penalties for improper retention or destruction, especially when legal discovery requires documents that no longer exist. A.5.33 guards against these outcomes by embedding record protection within the IMSS's core governance cycle: planned, measured, and auditable. Examples of records that fall under the ISMS scope highlight its breadth. Access logs prove that technical controls, such as least privilege or multi-factor authentication, were enforced. Incident reports and forensic data document how breaches were handled and resolved. Supplier contracts define expectations and obligations that influence risk assessments. Management review notes and risk registers show how decisions were made and evaluated over time. Each serves as a fragment of the organization's evidence chain, a collective testimony of diligence, accountability, and operational maturity. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Control A.5.34 expands the organization's duty of care to the individuals whose data it holds. Where A.5.33 ensures that records are trustworthy and available, A.5.34 ensures that privacy and personal data protection are integral to every process that touches that information. Personally identifiable information, PII, carries both ethical and legal weight. It represents not only compliance obligations, but also the human dimension of information security. This control mandates that organizations protect personal data belonging to employees, customers, suppliers, and partners in line with laws such as the GDPR, HIPAA, CCPA, and emerging frameworks around the world. Beyond compliance, A.5.34 embeds a culture of respect, recognizing that privacy is an expression of trust between individuals and the organization managing their data. Defining PII accurately is the starting point for effective privacy governance. Personal data includes any information that can identify an individual directly or indirectly: names, identification numbers, biometric details, financial accounts, or combinations of seemingly innocuous data that reveal identity when linked together. Context determines sensitivity. An email address in a corporate directory carries less risk than medical data in a clinical record. In global operations, the definition of PII varies by jurisdiction, complicating compliance across borders. To manage this complexity, organizations must map how personal data flows through their systems, from collection and processing to sharing and retention. These data flow maps identify where exposure risks exist and serve as the foundation for applying appropriate technical and organizational safeguards. A.5.34 outlines several essential controls to safeguard personal data. Pseudonymization and anonymization techniques reduce identifiability, transforming sensitive data sets into safer forms for analytics or storage. Encryption protects PII, both in transit and at rest, ensuring that unauthorized interception does not result in exposure. Consent management ensures that individuals understand and approve the use of their data, while the principle of purpose limitation restricts processing to clearly defined, legitimate objectives. Organizations must also maintain readiness for breach notification, with clear thresholds for reporting to authorities and affected individuals within legally mandated timelines. These combined controls form the technical and procedural backbone of responsible data handling. Respect for data subject rights transforms privacy from policy into practice. Individuals are entitled to access their data, request corrections, demand erasure, or restrict processing depending on the applicable law. Some jurisdictions require data portability, allowing individuals to transfer their data to another service provider. Automating these processes through workflows improves efficiency and consistency, while maintaining detailed logs provides evidence of compliance. Each request should be recorded with timestamps, actions taken, and approvals, forming a traceable record of rights fulfillment. Demonstrating respect for these rights does more than satisfy legal requirements. It strengthens customer confidence and differentiates the organization as one that treats personal data as a shared trust, not a commodity. Privacy by design transforms compliance from a reactive burden into an embedded capability. Developers and project managers must integrate privacy considerations into system architecture from the earliest stages of design. Default configurations should favor data minimization, collecting only what is necessary and retaining it only as long as justified. Data Protection Impact Assessments, DPIAs, help identify risks before new systems or processes go live, ensuring that mitigations are planned rather than retrofitted. Regular reviews ensure that privacy measures evolve as technology and business needs change. This proactive posture aligns with the ISO philosophy of continual improvement, anticipating risks before they manifest rather than merely reacting to them. A key challenge under A.5.33 lies in balancing record retention obligations under A.5.33 with data minimization and deletion rights under privacy law. Some records must be kept for years due to legal or contractual requirements, while privacy mandates often call for deletion as soon as data is no longer necessary. Organizations must document these exceptions clearly, explaining why certain PII cannot yet be erased and how it remains protected in the meantime. Records containing personal data must be encrypted, access controlled, and monitored throughout their life cycle. Deletion schedules should synchronize with both retention rules and individual rights, ensuring consistency and transparency. This balance is the hallmark of a mature ISMS, demonstrating that compliance and privacy are compatible through disciplined governance. Real-world failures illustrate why A.5.34 is so critical. Misconfigured cloud storage exposing customer databases has led to regulatory fines and reputational crises. Organizations retaining personal data far beyond its necessity have faced sanctions for violating data minimization principles. Portable media lost in transit without encryption has resulted in breaches affecting thousands. Even delays in notifying regulators or affected individuals after an incident can escalate penalties and public distrust. Each example underscores that privacy negligence has measurable consequences. Conversely, organizations that respond swiftly, communicate transparently, and maintain demonstrable control often emerge from such events with their reputations intact. Auditors evaluating compliance with A.5.33 and A.5.34 will expect tangible, verifiable evidence. For record protection, this includes retention schedules tied to legal references, destruction certificates confirming secure disposal, and detailed access logs. For privacy, evidence should encompass privacy policies, consent records, DPIA reports, and documented workflows for data subject rights. Training logs demonstrate that employees understand their responsibilities in handling PII. Together, these artifacts paint a picture of accountability, not merely written policies, but living proof of execution, verification, and improvement over time. When implemented effectively, these controls create a virtuous cycle of trust and assurance. A.5.33 provides the infrastructure of reliability, records that can withstand legal, operational, and forensic scrutiny, while A.5.34 ensures that privacy principles permeate every aspect of data handling. The combination reduces litigation risk, satisfies regulators, and builds enduring trust with customers, employees, and partners. In a world where data drives value, these controls ensure that value is earned ethically and preserved lawfully. They strengthen the IMS by aligning integrity and empathy, upholding both the organization's obligations and the individual's rights. With this foundation, the IMS is ready to evolve toward comprehensive compliance oversight and audit readiness in the next phase, addressed through A.5.35 and A.5.36.